Hi there, family and friends. Welcome to my kitchen. Sandy here. Today I am making a batch of orange fig jam. So on my channel I have my original fig jam and I've been doing it a little differently, and I want to make sure that I share that with everybody because it's a really good jam. This is a freezer jam, so we're going to make it and then put it in jars and put it in the freezer, so we'll have it all winter long. And it's really easy and simple to do. So I've got my figs. I've got about 36 figs here, give or take a fig, and I cut them into basically very small dice. So maybe about 1/8 or 1/16 of a size. And I just get them into a nice saute pot. I have a nice heavy bottom pot, so your best pot here will do. And I get them in there over a medium heat. You can see that these figs are going. So I've got a nice batch of figs in there. And we are going to add some white sugar, 1/2 cup of white sugar. Like I said, about 32 to 36 figs, depending on their size. Got some white sugar, and I've got some turbinado sugar. This is not brown sugar. This is sugar in the raw. You can find it in the box in the baking section. But just look for turbinado sugar. I don't use brown sugar because I don't want that extra molasses flavor going into the jam. Between the fig and the orange, it'll be definitely sweet enough with all the sugar too. So 1/2 cup of that. Like I said, real simple. 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. You can make fresh lemon juice, or you can use the bottled lemon juice, whatever you happen to have. Get that in there. And on medium heat, when this is mixing together, everything is going to start to melt. All the sugars will start to melt, and everything is going to meld together with these figs. Then this is just a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. That goes in to give it a nice flavor. And a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. So that gives it a nice fall flavor. That goes in there. All right, and then we're just going to bring this up to a simmer as it is with just these ingredients. And that should not take very long. But as soon as you see that start to perk away, you are going to add some orange juice. So that's what makes this fig jam a little different. Instead of just putting in some water in there to give it a little liquid and allow the figs to cook down into a jammy consistency, we're using orange juice. I took one large orange, and I just reamed it after I used a microplane to get the zest. So we're not going to put the zest into the fig jam until the jam has cooked down, gotten to the consistency that we want it. We're going to turn it off, let it cool a little bit, and then we're going to put all that orange zest in there and mix it up, and that's going to give it a nice fresh orange flavor. So this is going to go in once we get a nice simmer going, and I'll show you what that looks like. Then we're going to let this cook on a low simmer without the lid. We're not using the lid on this pot at all for this jam. We're going to let that simmer for a good 1/2 hour with the orange juice in there, and we're going to stir it every once in a while. So keep your eye on it. It is not going to stick to the bottom of the pan, or it shouldn't anyway. But as it is simmering, all of the liquids, including the orange juice, are going to steam off, and the jam is going to get thicker and thicker. And that's what's going to make a really good jam-like consistency. So we'll let this come up to a simmer. We'll add that juice, And then I'll take some pictures along the way and show you what that consistency looks like. And then I'll show you how it looks at the end when I get that zest in there. So stay tuned. I'll show you the rest of the process for this delicious orange fig jam. And then we'll be done. So see you in a bit. Bye. Okay, so as you can see, all of those sugars have melted. The lemon juice, the vanilla, and this is just starting to come to a really nice simmer. You can see the bubbles there. So now is the time, I see those little bubbles in the back there, to add the orange juice. We're just going to add that right in. And of course the orange juice is going to bring the temperature down a little bit. I'm going to mix that in. Smells really good. And we're going to let that come back up to a nice simmer and let it percolate that way for about a half an hour. So I'll show you what that looks like too. So after about 5 minutes, we've got it simmering nice and easy on the stove, medium-low heat. You can just keep playing with it, but right now it's looking pretty good. And you can actually see that it's starting to change consistency a little bit. So we're going to let this go and just simply give it a stir every once in a while. Make sure you get the seeds, little fig seeds, off the sides of the pot and push them down. And you can actually, if I step back, you can see the steam coming off that pot. And that is the liquids that are just evaporating from that mixture. So let's see what it looks like in about 10 minutes more or so. All right, we've been simmering away here for about 15 minutes. And you can see a really different change in the look of this mixture. The colors change, it's gotten a lot browner, and it's starting to thicken a little bit. And looking really good. So we'll let it keep going and check back on it in about another 10 minutes or so and see what happens. Steam is still coming off the pot, so there's still plenty. You can still there's still plenty of moisture to come out of these figs yet. So see you in a bit. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes, a little less than 15 minutes, and you can see that the fig jam's cooking down nicely. It looks different now. It's gotten a little different in color, a little more brown, and you can see that it's starting to thicken up a little bit. It's looking really good. You can see that steam is still coming off the pot though, so we've got a little ways to go here. So let's let it keep doing its thing and come back in another 10 or so. Okay, so we are at the 30-minute mark here on this jam, and right here is why you can see this is a legacy gem. So depending on what you want to do, you could turn this off right now, let it cool off, put in your orange zest, and then use your immersion blender and blend this to a total puree. And your jam would be done. It would be not, overly thick, but I think thick enough because you can see those sugars are really concentrated here. But you can also see that there's still a lot of steam coming off this pot, and there still is a lot of liquid in here. So since I think that I would like to do more of a chunky jam with this rather than a complete puree, and I would like it to be a little bit thicker, I'm going to let this go and keep simmering a little bit more. So when you do this, when you get to the 30-minute mark with it, it's obviously going to get thicker and thicker, and you should be stirring it more often and checking it more often so that it just doesn't, totally go over the cliff and dry out, but that it gets to the consistency that you think that, you're going to like it in terms of thickness. So I am going to let this go a little bit more and use my judgment And I'll come back and show you what that looks like when I decide that it's done. All right, I really let this go, and as you can see, sticking to the bottom just a little bit, but comes right up, and it is nice and thick, and we have lost probably up to about 3/4 of the moisture we had in this pot when we started. Even though it's, you can see it's still steaming and can go further, I think this is perfect. And so we're going to turn this off, and we're going to push this off the heat and let it sit for about 5 minutes before we put in the orange zest. It's sitting there, right there, waiting for its turn. So that'll be the next step, and I'll show you what we do from there. All right, so we're on the final steps of our orange fig jam. So this has been just sitting for a little bit. It's still warm, still plenty hot, but you know, sitting 5 minutes or so, and now we can put in our lovely orange zest. So we're going to put that in there. This is the zest of one large orange, and that should give you the 1/4 cup of orange juice that you need as well. So one big orange from the supermarket will be everything you need for this jam. You could use just the orange juice and leave the zest out. It won't be as flavorful, but you could certainly do that if you don't want to go through the zest step, or juicing your own orange. But it's so good, why wouldn't you? All right, so we're going to mix that in, and you can tell when you look at this now. You can see it's really cooked. All that green outer covering of the fig is all cooked down, and it's nice and brown and melded with the inside flesh of the fig. So all right, so we've got that, and now we're just going to take our immersion blender. Throughout this whole process, be careful to keep kids away from the stove. This is hot sugar, so it can burn. Just be really careful when you're doing it, even for yourself, that you be careful with this hot mixture. But I'm going to put this in here now. Like I said, I like my jam now to be chunky, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of a buzz and get some of it blended. That's enough. We're going to leave some chunks in there, but you know, also blend about half of it up so that it gives us a nice consistency for that jam. That jam is done. So what I do with that is I put it into some freezer proof jars. I'll take it from there hot, put it in the jar, and then leave it on the counter to cool. Make sure it's room temperature before you do anything else. Once it's at room temperature, you can put the lid on and you can put it in the refrigerator. It'll be great 2 to 3 months in the refrigerator if it lasts that long, because you're definitely going to eat it on crackers, on toast, whatever you would do with jam, peanut butter and jelly, whatever you want to do. You can also take the jars and seal them up real good. Once they're room temperature, you can freeze them. They'll stay in your freezer perfectly fine for a couple of years. When you want to use a jar of jam, simply take it out of the freezer, let it sit at room temperature till it defrosts, stick it in the fridge, and you're good for another 2 to 3 months, just like you would any other jar of jelly that you buy from the store. So here is a jar that I made not so long ago. Same exact process. It's in the refrigerator, and I have a cracker here, and I'll just show you kind of what this looks like. So it sets up, you know, nice and thick. Spread it on a cracker. Look at that. What a color, what a beautiful color. So let me give it a taste. So good. You can taste the nutmeg. The orange comes through really strong. And the figs. And that beautiful jammy sugar taste. So, from my recipe box to yours, orange fig jam. I hope you make it. I hope you love it as much as we do. It's a legacy gem in our house, and we look forward to making it every year. Hope you're all doing well, family and friends. I love you all. Take care till the next time. Bye. This recipe yields about 16 ounces of orange fig jam.